Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies and show you how they were made. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at When Evil Lurks, a Spanish-language Argentinian film from 2023. When Evil Lurks comes from writer-director Damian Rugna, the filmmaker behind 2017's Terrified. It follows a pair of rural brothers as they navigate an outbreak of demonic possession. It's pretty unique among possession films by eschewing religion entirely.
La iglesia murieron, doña!
Instead, this demonic infestation is akin to a viral pandemic. As such, there are protocols in place that are supposed to manage and contain possessions, but people's unwillingness to follow those rules causes things to continually spiral out of control. It sets the evil of demonic possession against the real-life evil of local politics and apathetic disbelief. There are a lot of parallels between the movie's infestation and COVID, but Rugna had a different inspiration: the health issues arising out of widespread pesticide use in Argentina, often by landowners who don't even live in the country. The movie works on both levels, as well as many others, some of which I'll undoubtedly miss. As with most foreign language films, my caveat for this episode is that I might fall short with cultural insights or pronunciations. Apologies in advance. When Evil Lurks tells a fairly intimate story, but feels much bigger thanks to its world building, which is drip-fed over the course of the story. It keeps you engaged as you piece things together, thanks largely to the phenomenal cast. Ezequiel Rodriguez in particular is a powerful lead as an absentee father with a complicated past. Plus, dude, the gore in this movie is hard to beat. There's so much of it, all of it gnarly and practical. There are kills in here you have to see to believe, including one that took home Best Kill at the Dead Meat Horror Awards. In fact, When Evil Lurks won all 4 of its nominated categories. Our fans started calling it When Evil Sweeps. But that doesn't matter to YouTube, who can't appreciate good gore or intelligent social commentary. Now, normally, this is where I'd say we had to censor the hell out of things and that you should hit up our $1 a month Patreon tier for the uncensored gore. But here's the thing. Between the possessed self-harm and graphic violence done to kids, I don't want to have to butcher this movie enough to get it past YouTube guidelines. So this video is almost certainly already age restricted. And yeah, that's probably gonna hurt views and take away all our ad revenue, but I'll take those hits for this film. I can't do that all the time, but in this case, it's better than trying to hide how fucked up this movie is. Because it is fucked up in a beautiful way. It doesn't conform to the usual rules of the genre, and we need that sometimes. Horror movies would be boring if nobody ever colored outside the lines. Can this family unit survive with demons literally tearing them apart? Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins with the sound of gunshots.
Escuchaste.
Pedro and his brother Jaime aren't sure if they came from their land or the forest next to them. They gear up to check it out in an uninterrupted one-shot, all while Pedro sucks air through a cig the whole time. Damn, man, take a breath. So much smoke need oxygen. They ain't steadily counting them Benjamins, because they're poor farmers in rural Argentina. Writer-director Damian Rugna wanted a rural story, since most possession movies take place in the city. At dawn, the brothers head out to their property line to see what the heck was making all that gunfire. They find a hand, but I don't think that's enough for me to count a kill. Oh, never mind, there's a half a person there. I'll go ahead and put him on the count. Who is it though?
Este no será Rui?
I don't know, man, you tell me. All I'm looking at is a pair of pants. Nearby, they discover the body's belongings, which includes a case full of Scream-used props from National Treasure.
Yo te lo vi en algún lado.
Yeah, dude, probably at the last escape room you did. They also find a file on Maria Gomez, a poor woman who lives on the land of their neighbor Ruiz. They head to Maria's to ask who the dead guy was. She reveals he was a cleaner, which in this world is a sort of government-sponsored exterminator. He wasn't here to squash bugs, though.
Tiene que matar a mi hijo.
Wait, why? What's wrong with your son? Oh my god, that's a human pimple right there! Oh, just pus and boils and nasty shit.
Está encarnado. Está embichado hace rato ya.
Maria's son Uriel is patient 0 of a possession, which in this world is akin to a disease. Cleaners, like the one they found dead, are exorcists who can safely take care of the possession. The possessed people they treat are referred to as rottens, and Uriel is rotten as hell. Maria and her youngest son Eduardo have been taking care of Uriel for an entire year. That's how long their request for a cleaner took to process. Pedro and Jaime head to town and report the possession to the local authorities, but they're skeptical of its authenticity.
En muchos casos encarnado que termina haciendo cualquier cosa.
They say possessions don't happen in small towns like theirs, and even if they did, their hands are tied by red tape.
Hay un protocolo para estos casos. Nosotros llamamos, viene salubridad, ellos lo resuelven. Listo.
Rugna wanted to portray the government corruption and class struggles that plague Argentina, both of which were exacerbated during the pandemic. He didn't have these social elements in mind when he started writing, but said they naturally came out on their own. The brothers take the issue to Ruiz, the wealthy neighbor who owns the land Maria lives on. In contrast to the bureaucratic cops, Ruiz is a paranoid truther who blames the infestation on the government.
Esto lo pusieron ellos. Fue el Estado. Me quieren sacar mis tierras.
When he finally sees it for himself, he spits out classist rhetoric at his tenants, saying their kind contaminates things.
Mira lo que trajeron. Trajeron lo peor que podían haber traído a mi tierra.
He tries to take matters into his own hands with his boomstick, but exorcism is a delicate matter. If he pops that pimple himself, he'll be covered in the pus of possession. Oh, ew. The possessed Uriel encourages him to do the deed, since it'll only make things worse. This demon, like many demons, is just the most profane little edgelord you've ever heard. It even says it'll possess Ruiz's unborn baby, but that's thankfully not enough to get Ruiz to pull the trigger. Unwilling to leave his land, Ruiz recruits Pedro and Jaime for Plan B, which is dumping Uriel on somebody else's property. Then it won't be their problem. I love how much effort it takes them to even figure out a way to move this thing. I mean, he's so huge. Must have eaten way too much lemon pudding. Ah, man, he's leaking like a cheap garbage bag. Just coffin flopping his naked butt on the ground. This is where the subtle dark humor of the movie begins to emerge. It's almost slapsticky the way these idiots load that goopy boy into the truck. They drive him out into the countryside, and when Ruiz starts celebrating too early, he almost hits a little kid. And then the bastards cuss down the kid after almost killing him.
Que iba a la escuela el pelotudo.
As you might have guessed, that reckless driving dislodges their contaminated cargo. Even though, can we get a replay on that footage? Yeah, I don't see no bloated corpse anywhere near that kid. Still, Ruiz figures they're far away enough that it's fine. Oh, Ruiz, if only that were true. The next morning, Ruiz is called outside by his pregnant wife, Jimena, who points out a goat that's acting spooky. I think it's that one? Or wait, that one? How can we know which one she's... Oh, it's that one. That one for show. The goat who stares at men is obviously possessed, and you ain't supposed to use a firearm on a possessed being. But man, that goat really goads Ruiz into it, stepping forward and just being like, do it, bitch. I fucking dare ya. Oh shit, and then he does! Oh my god! He's immediately axed in the face by his wife, who had warned him not to shoot that damn goat! In an effort to contain the demon's influence, Jimena then sacrifices herself by taking the axe to her own face with 5 hacks. She goes for a 6, but doesn't quite make it. Damn, man, that is dark. Pedro and Jaime are paid a visit from Eduardo, who tells them Ruiz is dead and that his mother has run away. He also reminds them of another rule when it comes to dealing with the possessed.
No usa la luz eléctrica. Hace sombra que atrae la maldad.
Eduardo wants to spend the night, but Jaime says no. Pedro at least offers him their barn for the price of 1 gun. Thank you, small orphan child. Now go on and get. The brothers get out of there the next morning, leaving behind everything they own. They don't want to risk taking anything that might be infected. Pedro lays out their plan in a VO.
Vamos pa'l pueblo. Busco a mis hijos.
Have a nice cold pint and wait for all this to blow over. They stop in a suburb, a far cry from their ranch, so Pedro can barge into the home of his ex-wife Sabrina. She lives there with her new husband Leo and their family, which includes their young daughter Vicky and Pedro and Sabrina's son Santino. Pedro tries to warn them about the approaching catastrophe, but he's met with disbelief, and not just because he's stripping off his demonically tainted clothes. He's done something that warranted a restraining order, and has also been a deadbeat dad.
4 años desaparecido, ni un puto peso me diste. Y ahora venís así como si nada.
For Pedro, Rugna took inspiration from fathers like his own. Good guys who had bad luck and then made bad decisions that ended up pushing their families away. Pedro burns his clothes as a pandemic precaution, or at least he tries to.
La concha.
¿El alcohol?
Oh, thanks, Leo. I'll go down. Problem is, we saw the family's dog Roger sniffing through that laundry before he burned it. We've learned that animals are the first to be affected, so this whole time, we're just waiting for something bad to happen while these people scream at each other. And then it does. In one of the most shocking kills I've ever seen, Roger goes full Cujo on Vicky and treats her like a chew toy. It is brutal to watch as this dog drags the kid's body out the door and takes to the streets. Leo chases after the dog and Pedro chases after Leo, but he knows it's already too late. He's about to be the white picket fences of hell. He doubles back to the house to pick up Jair, his oldest son. Jair's autistic and needs a good amount of coaxing just to get downstairs. Leo returns to get his gun, which Pedro warns him against using.
¡No vas a buscar un perro! ¡Vas a buscar un demonio!
He doesn't listen though, and when Pedro catches back up with him, he's already shooting Roger, dooming this neighborhood to another outbreak of possession. Roger is a French Mastiff, which Rugna wanted since it's not the typical dangerous dog breed in media like a Rottweiler. Problem was, their dog actor was so passive and lazy, it was almost impossible to train. Pedro gets back and discovers Vicky has returned as well, seemingly unharmed, even though she was just a squeaky toy a few minutes ago. While he recognizes her as the creepy horror movie kid she is, Sabrina's just happy to have her daughter back, even when she starts talking all cryptic.
Que papi va a venir a casa en el auto y
Pedro bundles his sons into the family car. Before they can escape, Pedro watches Sabrina get killed when Leo slams her into the side of the house in his truck, fulfilling his daughter's prophecy. His fucked up little daughter. Look at her dance. And I don't know if I should go by infected rules or what for this count, but I will add Leo right now, since he seems to have completed his crossover to the dark side. Pedro and his boys flee the scene and join up with Jaime, who's been picking up their mother Sarah. She's happy to see the family back together, but is skeptical of their claims about a rotten.
Estamos muy lejos para que pase algo así acá. Esas cosas pasan en las ciudades.
Man, every goddamn person they meet is in denial.
Estamos en el culo del mundo. ¿Cómo va a aparecer un encarnado por acá?
It's analogous to real-world diseases and the way people think they just can't happen to them. This is Santino's first time hearing about a rotten, so Granny launches into exposition mode. True to her skepticism, she tells it like a ghost story. She explains that demons possess the minds of rottens before using their bodies to give birth to their physical form. To avoid getting infected, there are 7 rules to follow, like not using electricity and avoiding animals. There's even a song to help you remember what these demons are all about. Ooh, I hope it's as catchy as Freddy's Jump Rope song.
Se meten en tu cuerpo, te infectan la mente, te roban lo más preciado de tu vida.
Oh, it's not. The other rules include not harming rottens, especially with a firearm, and not saying the name of the evil inside them.
Lucifer, Azrael,
Mamá.
Perfegor.
Paimon, Pazuzu, Pacino. Ah, shit, now you got me doing it. Grandma forgets what the 7th rule is, but it's fine. I'm sure it's not important or anything. The way characters respond to these guidelines echo human behavior during times of crisis. Rules take effort and self-control to follow, but since people are greedy, lazy, or impulsive, they end up breaking them. Rugna wanted to make sure the rules were explained in a way that felt natural, opting against cliches like dumping them all at the beginning via TV or a newspaper. While Etta stopped trying to buy Jair an ice cream treat, Sarah gets a call from a conspicuously alive Sabrina. Pedro takes the call and is subjected to demonic vitriol. Sabrina says his sons hate him and that he's a little man.
Por eso te fui siempre infiel. Por eso tuve que ir y revolcarme con todo.
Ha, classic demon shit. She also implies he wanted to get rid of Jair because of his disability. Poor kid's having a hard time right now. Probably because they're letting him sit there with sticky fingers. With no money or belongings to get them to a city, Jaime takes them to a remote cottage instead. This is the home of Mirta, an old flame of Jaime's who agrees to let them hunker down with her. She's paranoid of possessions enough to not have electricity. She also suspects Jair may be possessed.
Ya vi esto antes en autistas. Se meten en su cuerpo, pero no pueden descifrar su mente.
They tell her that's a pretty fucked up thing to say, lady. The kid's just like this. Jair refuses to leave the car, probably because Mirta's so rude, so Pedro spends the night with him and gets a glimpse at his artwork. Later in the night, they get a visitor, and it ain't Nick Cave. Don't be fooled by that red right hand. Sarah wakes up to find Santino in the arms of a possessed Sabrina.
Vine a buscar a mis hijos, porque mis hijos me necesitan.
Pedro is roused from his sleep and finds his ex-living ex-wife upstairs. Santino only has time to say his dad's name before Sabrina's straight outie this bitch. Bye! The brothers want to chase after her, but Mirta holds them off. As it turns out, she's a former cleaner herself, who knows a thing or two about rottens. Things like the 7th rule, which is to not feel fear.
Ella no hubiese venido hasta acá si usted no tuviese miedo de que ella venga a llevarse sus hijos.
Oh, well, that would have been good to know earlier, Mom! Mirta explains that these demons manipulate and feed on fear, which is why Pedro can't go after Santino.
Su miedo a perderlo va a ayudar al demonio.
The current chaos they're experiencing is part of the Rotten's birthing process, a period of time before the gestating demon can take on a physical form. To stop that from happening, they're gonna have to go to the source, meaning Uriel, you know, human pimple guy. That's easier said than done, since these two dinguses lost him in the middle of nowhere.
Qué imbéciles que son.
Yeah, that's kind of their thing. They split up, with Jaime going after Sabrina, and Pedro taking Mirta to the area they dumped Uriel's body. During their drive, Mirta reveals her backstory. She and her husband were con artists running a fraudulent church 12 years ago, before the outbreak of rottens ruined that gig.
Dios murió. Y los tiempos de las iglesias se terminaron rápido.
This loss of faith was hinted at earlier with Maria Gomez.
Le hemos prendido su velita al santo.
¡La iglesia murieron, doña!
As penance for their unholy hijinks, Mirta and her husband were trained to be cleaners by a sect of monks called the Cobras. Hell yeah! But recent years have seen cleaning become increasingly dangerous. Mirta's husband was eventually murdered on his way to a job, just like the one who had been heading to Maria's. Mirta tried to have a fresh start in the forest, but worries she might have brought work home with her.
¿Y si la maldad finalmente me encontró en la cabeza de Jaime? ¿Y si hubiera infectado este pueblo Solo por mí.
Wow, main character syndrome much? Not everything's about you, Mirta. Jaime is hot on Sabrina's trail, but he's gotta keep his headlights in scary flicker mode lest he attract evil with electricity. He eventually catches up to Sabrina, but as he drives up next to her, he finds her scraping out Santino's brains like he were a jar of peanut butter. Oh man, and she is sloppy with it too. This is seriously so fucking gross. This movie is not afraid to kill little kids. Jaime responds by revving his truck and running Sabrina down, pancaking her against a nearby tree. Despite her brain fucking leaking out of her forehead, oh my Christ. I don't think I can add her to the count right now. She's still got enough kick to discuss a past infidelity between her and Jaime.
Dijiste que me amabas.
Huh, I wonder if that means he's Santino's real okay, I'm sorry. Hey Jaime, you wanna plug a finger in there or something, please? When Evil Lurks was co-financed by Shudder, but according to Rugna, he was given complete creative freedom. He wanted to make a horror movie for horror fans, which is why he included so many shocking scenes. His inspirations included The Evil Dead, The Wailing, and the cruelty of the road. Back at home, Sarah is joined inside by Jair.
Tengo hambre. Y frío, abuela. ¿Me puedes hacer algo caliente para tomar?
Huh, something's different about Jair. Did he get a haircut? Or maybe Mirta was right all along. Pedro finally reaches the area where they lost Uriel. Mirta knows enough to refine their search to a nearby school.
A la maldad le gustan los niños, y a los niños les gusta la maldad.
Yeah, that tracks. Sure enough, they find the school abandoned, save for a classroom full of beguiled out students. Damn, really burning the midnight oil there. Big test tomorrow? Nah, these kids have got something wrong with them. Like, something really wrong with them. They band together to protect and hide the evil demon. And look at that, another little hellion is arriving right now. It's that bicycle boy from earlier, and he joins the others as they misdirect Pedro, telling him that Uriel's in different places. He gets so pissed, he starts smacking the shit out of a little girl. Simmer down, Pedro, this ain't a boarding school. The demon's appeal to children was meant as a metaphor for fascism's appeal to young people, and the way its ideas can spread like a possession. They realize Uriel is at the school. Somehow, the little bastards dragged him in here and buried him beneath the theater stage. They also got their hands on some lime, and used it to mask the smell of the dead parents and teachers they've killed. I can see at least 5 bodies in there, so I'll add them to the count. And though we do get this exchange,
Hay uno vivo.
No importa, saca el embichado, Pedro.
I'm gonna go ahead and ignore it, cause spoiler alert, these people do not wind up at a hospital receiving medical attention. Beneath this body pile is the big man himself, and Uriel is a big man, which is gonna be a problem. Mirta needs him out in the open to complete the cleaning, which uses this big bad telescope cannon thing or whatever. She warns Pedro not to run or be dumb, but come on Mirta, you know who you're talking to, right? Pedro only has a hammer to take the stage apart, but that girl he kicked the shit out of suggests a fire axe in the office. Mirta warns him that it's a trap, but he can't think straight with Uriel egging him on.
Por Santino, no lo deje morir. Todavía lo puede salvar.
The mass of Uriel was achieved through a combo of puppetry and post-production tweaking. The large puppet had 4 people inside the body, using pipes to control his movement and pumping out liquids. The face was replaced with VFX. The puppet was created by effects artist Marcos Berta, who previously worked with Rugna on Terrified, where he made that fucking nightmare child with a glass of milk. Berta also created a super realistic Ruiz puppet that was used for the axe hacking scene. His excellent work won him a prime rib for best practical effects, which he actually has listed on his website. Oh man, that's so fucking cool to see. Uriel reveals that Pedro nearly killed his kids while trying to kill himself some time ago. That's why Sabrina had a restraining order against him. We've been getting hints about the incident all movie.
¿Ese es tu hermano el que tapó la salida de la estufa?
Eso es todo un invento de la que era la mujer para quedarse con los nenes.
Unable to battle his own demons, let alone this big nasty one, Pedro does the dumb thing and leaves to get the axe. Predictably, the trap is a trap and Pedro gets locked inside the office. God damn it, dude. Come on. That leaves Mirta, the only person who might have been able to fix all this, to get overwhelmed by the kids. They drag her away while hammering her in the head. Oh man, kids killing people always bothers me. It's just so messed up, and that girl don't stop. Pedro finally manages to escape and finds himself alone with Uriel, ready to play some Jackbox games. In desperation, he grabs Mirta's equipment and plays some unholy whack-a-mole, caving in Uriel's head as the rotten laughs. I don't think that's how that tool's meant to be used, man. While Uriel's physical form can be added to the count, Pedro didn't kill the demon inside of him. He can only sit by as it climbs out of the corpse, taking on the form of a bloody child. The gloopy red demon kid spares Pedro, giving him a Lion King mark that probably means something like, thanks for being a dumbass, dude. Regulations in Argentina forbade kids from having blood on them, so the child born out of the rotten was actually painted blue blue and turned red in post. Other child labor laws meant they could only shoot with the kid actors 4 hours a day, a few days a week. They also tried to keep the blood and special effects away from them, and used puppets for any scenes with kid corpses, of which there are many. With its impressionable fan club of kids, the demon heads off into the rising sun, bringing life to the picture Jair drew. Not sure what implications this has for, the world, but the next morning, the brothers have an emotional reunion. They head back home where Pedro washes off the night's events, although he can't rid himself of that damned mark of the beast, looking like he fell asleep first at a bachelor party. Jaime discovers that Eduardo is still hiding out on their property. The kid confesses that he was the one who murdered the first cleaner under the demonic influence of his brother. He also reveals that he killed and ate his mother Maria off screen, so I'll go ahead and add her to the count now. Eduardo implies that Jaime's own mother has met a similar fate. Sure enough, after giving Jair some ice cream, Pedro notices his son choking. In one final disgusting little addition to the movie, Jair coughs out blood and hair and all sorts of nasty shit. Oh god, I'm gonna hurl. The source of his clog is Sarah, confirmed when he spits out the necklace we saw her wearing earlier. It's a devastating revelation. And yo, what the fuck was that, Jair? The movie ends with a long take as Pedro has an emotional breakdown outside. How many kills were lurking in this pandemic-wide possession film? Let's find out and get to the 16 people died in When Evil Lurks. The victims consisted of 8 males and 8 females, giving us this demonically diametric pie chart. We've only seen this count and breakdown twice before on this show, in Friday the 13th Part 7, A New Blood, and American Psycho. With a runtime of 99 minutes, When Evil Lurks had a kill on average every 6.19 minutes. Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill could honestly go to most of the ones in this movie, but I've gotta give it to Vicky based on sheer shock value, and the fact that it won Best Kill at the Dead Meat Horror Awards. I still can't believe they killed a kid like that. Dom Machete for lamest kill will go to Maria, since it's an off-screen kill that doesn't even have any on-screen upchuck like Sarah's did. And that's it! When Evil Lurks was released in 2023 and was Shudder's first Spanish-language co-production. Muy bien! Until next week, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
When traveling abroad, you should try to experience everything the local culture has to offer. The food.
Never taken a picture of your food.
I usually prefer to eat it.
The nature.
If you aren't on an early morning hike, you are missing out.
The pervy British guys at the bar.
A California gal, eh?
Come on, man, get a hint.
It's all a rich tapestry of experiences. But be careful not to overindulge.
Just down my 3rd rum and coke. I'll be here all night.
And always keep yourself open to making new friends.
What are your plans tomorrow?
I hope they involve watching Influencer. Influencer is a criminally underappreciated thriller.
You're right.
A roller coaster of twists and turns that's reminiscent of Gone Girl.
I like that.
It's got breathtaking cinematography, a heart-thumping soundtrack, and a killer performance from Cassandra No.
No one's gonna come looking for you. You'll cease to exist.
This week, step out of your comfort zone and watch Influencer.
I can't wait.
Then on Friday, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for the Kill Count.
I thought you hated social media.
No, not when it's #dead meat.
Out here, in the middle of the ocean, no one can hear you scream.
Influencer can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count for When Evil Lurks. I figure our best picture winners should probably, get kill counts, right? We already covered Nope a couple of months ago, and now we're doing When Evil Lurks. The first winner of that award was a much lesser known film, Coming Home in the Dark. We personally loved it. I mean, that's why it won, but yeah, I guess I can do a kill count on that. It's a real, that's a real bleak movie. There are definitely kills in it, but yeah, I could do it if you guys want. Hopefully the Influencer trailer sold you on that movie, because that movie fucking rules, man. Go watch it. Seriously, it's so tense and exciting and just feels fresh. I've been looking forward to covering that one since I watched it last year. Just my usual shout outs to Dead Meat Presents, our other channel where the Dead Meat podcast lives and where we have Monday morning live streams every week with horror news and channel updates. And the other podcast I co-host with Catherine Corcoran and Barbara Crampton, Scream Dreams. Whole lot of content out there if you're a horror fan. Thanks everyone. Be good people.